Hey, what's up, Fight Family? This is Contemplate Boxing. I want to contemplate a little bit of the comments that I've seen, from other videos that I've looked at. Of course, still regarding the aftermath of the Yordenis Ugas or Manny Pacquiao versus Yordenis Ugas bout. Of course, we know that Yordenis Ugas won a unanimous decision against Manny Pacquiao initially. So much of the boxing world was completely writing off Yordenis Ugas, stating that Yordenis Ugas likely was not a worthy opponent for Manny Pacquiao. A lot of individuals did not view Yordenis Ugas as being a true champion. Of course, Yordenis Ugas went into the ring that night and pulled off the upset, fought a phenomenal fight, and definitely surprised a lot of individuals, much of the boxing public, other fighters, critics, fans, pretty much across the board. Now, one thing that I have noticed in the aftermath of this fight is there are a lot of individuals that are essentially, saying that Manny Pacquiao's loss was due to injury, due to his legs, leg cramps. Manny Pacquiao did mention this, and I won't dismiss that. That's completely a possibility. Manny Pacquiao, at the age that he is, they say that at some point a fighter's legs do go. Manny Pacquiao is in his 40s now. He's 42, 43. So that's definitely within the realm of possibility. I think what a lot of us do forget is that a few days prior to the bout, we were speculating as to whether or not Yordenis Ugas was dealing with the injury as well. We were seeing a lot of photos with Yordenis Ugas having a large swelling on his left bicep. Looked like he probably had a torn bicep. We saw that sort of injury whenever Saul Alvarez fought Callum Smith some time back. We saw Alvarez was throwing shots into Callum Smith's bicep, and it tore his bicep, and you saw that horrible swelling in his left arm, and he wasn't able to really use that arm. So we were seeing some of that same swelling with Yordenis Ugas days prior to the bout. I think there was even a photo where Yordenis Ugas, he had a towel over his arm a few days prior to the bout, and a lot of us were really speculating whether or not Yordenis Ugas was going to go into this fight 100% healthy. So I think we have to keep in mind that even if Manny Pacquiao was going into that fight with an injury, Yordenis Ugas was also going into that fight very likely with an injury. I don't think that this should prevent us from giving Yordenis Ugas his flowers, his just due credit. Something else that I've seen is, unfortunately, there is a section of the boxing public, and I guess this will always be the case no matter what, that are insistent that Manny Pacquiao's loss was a conspiracy. That Manny Pacquiao was set up to fail, that he was set up to lose. I got to tell you, as a fight fan, as somebody that really loves boxing, um, after a while, I really get tired of the conspiracies. I get tired of kind of seeing the conspiracies. So, yeah, that's something that really turns me off. Once I see something like that, um, I may just look in like I don't like to completely dismiss people, but what I've seen thus far from what many other fans are saying, um, I gotta dismiss that. I really gotta dismiss it. Unfortunately, or fortunately, conspiracies are not everywhere. It really takes away from the sport when we start to throw conspiracy into everything. You know, um, it really starts to hurt the sport. And I see this from so many different uh, portions of the boxing community. Whether you're talking about, PBC, whether you're talking about individuals who are fans of the Zone or fans of, Top Rank, fans of Manny Pacquiao, fans of Floyd Mayweather Jr., there's always a conspiracy that's happening. Everyone is always conspiring to get someone to fail. I remember before the fight, even happened. I remember the day that the fight was announced between that Yordenis Ugas would be replacing Errol Spence Jr. I saw some fans in some videos that were already stating, "Hey, the fix is in," and I had to question, man, like the fight hasn't even happened yet. How are you already seeing conspiracy? What is your evidence? State your case at the very least. Fight fans, we got to stop seeing conspiracy in everything. We got to stop seeing conspiracy in general life, because I get enough of that outside of the boxing ring, outside of the squared circle. I see conspiracy, or I hear conspiracy theories all day, from people just walking around the street, at the grocery store, talking politics, and everything else. Come on, let's not bring the constant conspiracy theories into the sport that we love. Let's give Yordenis Ugas his flowers. In boxing, generally, we love to see the underdogs come up, the guys that come up hard, that kind of fight their way up the ladder and finally reach success. And that's Yordenis Ugas. That is Yordenis Ugas to a T. He didn't get the best promotions coming up. He didn't get the best of everything coming up. This is a Cuban fighter, had to defect into this country in order to even fulfill his dreams of becoming a fighter. Yordenis Ugas is the underdog story. Now Manny Pacquiao is too. I'm not taking that away from him. But Manny Pacquiao has met his success. That can't be taken away from him. Manny Pacquiao will go down in history, whether or not he fights again, as one of the greatest of all time. A man that went from 106 pounds all the way up into the junior middleweight division and found success in 8 different weight divisions. That can't be taken away from him. This is somebody that is highly regarded around the world. I'm positive anywhere in the world that he goes to, he can garner respect. Yordenis Ugas is not the same. Let's give this man his flowers. This is an underdog story. And let's, respect the fact that an underdog came in there completely written off by the boxing public and did what nobody expected him to do. So, in regards to, I know many are talking about a possible rematch. Yordenis Ugas has stated that he's up for a rematch. Manny Pacquiao has also stated that all he has to do is talk to Al Heyman and he'll get the rematch. Um, I got to tell you, me personally, uh, I I don't want to see a rematch. Me personally, I don't want to see a rematch. I would prefer to see at this point Manny Pacquiao ride off into the sunset with the legacy that he has. His legacy can't be taken away. But I would prefer to see him ride off into the sunset as one of the greatest of all time and go and serve his people. You know, Still be involved with boxing through Manny Pacquiao Promotions. Has some phenomenal fighters under him. Gentleman, I believe Mark Magsayo, had a phenomenal performance on his undercard. Tremendous knockout against Seha. I mean, mentor those individuals. Stay involved with boxing through your promotional company. Continue to inspire the next generation and the next generation and the next generation, both as either senator or, if he decides to run for presidency, possibly as president, and or, you know, as manager promoter, for your fighters. Manager or promoter, or even go the advising route. It's definitely possible for him. Me personally, I don't want to see a rematch for the health of the division, like any other division. I want to see undisputed. So the fights at this point that I would like to see Yordenis Ugas versus Terrence Crawford, or Yordenis Ugas versus Errol Spence, or Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford. Those are the fights at this point that I want to see the most in the welterweight division. I want to see undisputed. I want to see one man with every piece of the welterweight crown holding that in the ring. That's what I would like to see. Um, Aside from that, I don't. From what I saw in the Ugas versus Pacquiao fight, and these were just my personal thoughts. Towards the end of round one, once I saw how easily Yordenis Ugas was able to really consistently land that jab, I didn't think Manny Pacquiao was going to be able to get past that. I didn't think Manny Pacquiao was going to really be able to make adjustments. Manny Pacquiao is not really known for making in-fight adjustments all that well. That's, to me at least, not his strongest point. So after towards the end of round one, once I saw that, I didn't think the fight was going to go well for Manny Pacquiao. It was at that moment that I felt Manny Pacquiao was definitely going to lose the fight. He had his moments. He definitely had his moments. I don't think this fight was as close as a lot of other fans are stating, which is another reason why I don't think, there needs to be a rematch. Yes, high possibility Manny Pacquiao came in there, didn't have his legs, but there's also, you got to consider, your Yordenis Ugas also didn't come into that fight 100%. If your Yordenis Ugas was able to do and succeed in the way that he did when he was injured, what happens when you have a fully healthy Yordenis Ugas? So that's another reason why I really don't see a reason for going forward with a rematch in this particular case. Not only this, but something that Bernard Hopkins had stated after he got knocked out by Joe Smith. Actually, no, it was Roy Jones Jr., I think, that said this about Bernard Hopkins after Hopkins was knocked out by Joe Smith. Bernard Hopkins, I believe similarly, came back to fight Joe Smith after a very long layoff. Bernard Hopkins well into his 40s. And he wasn't winning the fight anyway prior to the knockout. He was losing. But ring rust, when you're out of the ring that long, ring rust can play a factor even on younger fighters. But when you're talking about an older fighter, somebody in their 40s, I think it's exponentially worse for fighters that age. Uh, so for Manny Pacquiao, coming into that fight, he had already been taking a lot of time off. He's not a full time fighter. He is a part time boxer at this point, full time senator, full time politician. I don't see him being able to compete at the top level anymore. And when a fighter is not able to fully devote themselves to the sport, I don't think they should be fighting at that level. Don't want to see it, because I do care about fighters remaining safe overall. And I don't think that will be the safest thing for Manny Pacquiao at this point, to take a rematch with Ugas or to go on to fight any other guys in the top five of this division. Like I said, I think at this point, Manny Pacquiao should go ahead, ride off into the sunset. It's been a phenomenal career. You know, hey, we'll give you your flowers. Take those flowers. Serve your people. Continue to serve the downtrodden like you've been doing. But anyhow, these are just my thoughts. These are just my opinions. Fight family, let me know what you think. Please hit that like button, subscribe. Give me your thoughts, whether you agree, disagree.